NBC's News 8 at 5.
It is the suddenness of it. It's unexpected, and I guarantee that all of those members that were lost were very loved.
Five sailors have been declared dead following a helicopter crash off our coast, and now the rescue efforts turn to a recovery. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kirsten Holmes. Steve has the night off. The crash took place Tuesday during what the Navy described as a routine flight operation on the USS Abraham Lincoln. News 8's Tim Blodgett has more on today's update and what a former Navy pilot is saying about the incident.
The search continues for 5 missing sailors off the coast of San Diego, though the mission has changed. The United States Navy has declared all 5 sailors deceased, and the rescue mission is now a recovery. Nearly 5 days after an MH-60 Nighthawk helicopter crashed 60 miles off the coast of California, the United States Navy has lost hope in finding survivors. A press release issued by the commander of the 3rd Fleet says, quote, "The transition from search and rescue efforts to recovery operations comes after more than 72 hours of coordinated rescue efforts encompassing 34 search and rescue flights, over 170 hours of flight time with 5 search helicopters and constant surface vessel search."
And it appears that it most likely sunk. So it's somewhere on the ocean floor now, and hopefully we can recover the fuselage of the helicopter, with the service member.
Jim Kidrick is a former Navy pilot and president of the San Diego Air and Space Museum. While the sailors that are missing haven't yet been identified, Kidrick says it's the waiting that's the hardest part for the families on shore.
It's really tough when you're talking to, families and you can't give them closure. Bringing the body back, allowing there to be, a funeral, a process, which is the grieving process that everyone certainly is still going through.
The Navy is conducting an investigation into the circumstances of how the helo crashed. All that's known is that the accident took place aboard the USS Lincoln near San Clemente Island. And according to Navy officials, the helicopter was operating on deck before crashing into the sea. 1 sailor was rescued and 2 others were hurt. Now that the efforts have switched to recovery, the families of the victims are hoping they can bring the heroes home.
This is a time when the military families are going to huddle around those where their loved ones have not returned and give them as much comfort as they can.
Tim Blodgett, News 8.
The USS Abraham Lincoln is based at NAS North Island. Firefighters again got some help today from the weather as they work to keep the massive Caldor fire away from Lake Tahoe. Containment rose from 32% to 37% overnight thanks to calmer winds and higher humidity. South Lake Tahoe, which is typically packed with tourists for the Labor Day weekend, is now a ghost town with evacuation orders still in place. The fire has burned over 214,000 acres and destroyed nearly 900 structures. Today, people flock to our local beaches, and with big crowds expected throughout Labor Day weekend, lifeguards are warning beachgoers to get there early. Labor Day is also one of lifeguards' busiest times for rescues. News 8's Heather Hope has the story from Pacific Beach.
Yes, Kirsten, we're seeing a lot of people hit the sand and enjoy their time at the beach for this Labor Day weekend. And even though lifeguards say the crowds are expected to pile on, some people travel from halfway across the country, others already here locally, soaking up the sun.
Weather's warm, the water's in the mid-60s, so it's a perfect day to come enjoy the beach.
Taking it to the ocean to kick off a 3-day holiday weekend at Pacific Beach, big crowds are expected.
We just recommend people pack their patience. Parking lots are full, limited parking. Beach space will be limited as we move through Monday.
San Diego lifeguards offer this advice for all beachgoers.
Bring a shade structure. Stay hydrated. Wear long sleeve shirts. Stay under that umbrella. Drink lots of water.
The perfect day to play beach volleyball and spend time with family.
We're hanging out with our grandma. Probably going to be here at the beach again.
Lillian Lawley is 97 years old and happy to see her granddaughters from Montana.
I think it's just really nice for everybody to get out and enjoy the sun again.
From sunbathing to simply taking a nap on the sand, San Diego is an out-of-towner's dream.
It's 75 here, and it's gorgeous. Look at the people out here. It's amazing. It's 105 heat index in Oklahoma. Not a good thing.
Oklahoman Sean Fulkerson ran into some college team rivalry on the boardwalk.
You said you guys got a battle here.
Seriously.
This vacation is his family's first time in a long time out due to the pandemic.
We are starting to get out, but we're being careful. The virus is still out there and people need to be careful, but we are trying to have a little fun in between.
There were streams of bikers, skateboarders, and some doing fancy tricks on their set of wheels. Lifeguards say Labor Day weekend is one of their busiest times, where they see an increase in rescues.
Know your limits when you're out there in that ocean. We are expecting an increase in swell, increase in wave height, so that always will increase our rip current activity. Rip currents are where we make all of our rescues.
Again, for more crowds coming out, lifeguards continue to advise the safest place to swim is nearest a lifeguard tower. Heather Hope, News 8.
Good tip to remember there, and crowds are expected to increase as we head through the weekend, especially with the heat out east. Meteorologist Sean Stiles joins us now with a first look at your microclimate forecast. It's a Labor Day weekend, Sean.
It is. It is kind of the unofficial end of summer, but for San Diegans, we know this is really the beginning of our summer because September, October, and most of November is usually pretty darn nice weather. And the reason it was so gorgeous at the coastline today, the lack of a marine layer, it was very, very shallow and burned off almost immediately. We saw mostly sunny skies by mid-morning. As the lifeguards told us, surf is expected to pick up 2 to 3 feet, 5-foot sets on southwesterly facing beaches, water temperature 68. The rip current risk, it is high, so definitely check in with lifeguards. And looking at the forecast here, look at the temperatures. As that one gentleman said, it's 75 and sunny. Yeah, well, it's going to be even warmer tomorrow and sunny. And then we cool it down just a little bit for Labor Day. Inland, not so bad. We're talking low 90s, upper 80s on Labor Day. So definitely a great forecast. We'll take a look at the long-range model, but I don't think anyone cares about that. We still got 2 more days of a weekend.
Well, the death toll from Hurricane Ida and its remnants stands at 63. As the recovery continues, hundreds of thousands in Louisiana remain without electricity, and running water is in short supply. After visiting the Gulf Coast yesterday, President Biden plans to tour the hardest hit parts of the Northeast next week. Elsie Preston reports from Manville, New Jersey.
As the hurricane-battered Gulf Coast struggles with widespread power outages and fuel shortages, officials say the lights should be back on in New Orleans by the middle of next week. But the head of Louisiana's power company warned Saturday that electricity to some of the state's hardest-hit areas may not be restored until the end of this month.
If you've got a generator that you're using, please make sure that is at least 20 feet from your residence. It's in a well-ventilated area. It is not in a crawl space, a garage, certainly not in the house with you. Violence broke out at a Louisiana gas station when a driver fatally shot another after witnesses say the alleged gunman cut a long line.
Once he pointed the gun at the victim kind of, put his hands up like, what, you're going to shoot me now? And that's what he did.
The suspect, this 21-year-old New Orleans man, turned himself in and was charged with second-degree murder. In Killian, Louisiana, the aftermath of Ida remains dire.
If we don't get MREs, water, diapers, commodities, just anything to help these citizens, that it's going to be a very tough time.
On a Gulf Coast visit Friday, President Biden surveyed the destruction.
Folks, I know you're hurting. I know you're hurting.
On Tuesday, President Biden is set to be here in Manville, New Jersey, which took a devastating hit when remnants of Ida blew through the Northeast.
The town is very amazing. Everybody likes to help each other out, but this just came out of nowhere.
President Biden will also visit Queens, New York, where multiple people died at home in basements that became death traps. Elise Preston, CBS News, Manville, New Jersey.
FEMA says it has more than 1,000 people deployed to support Ida response and recovery efforts along the Gulf Coast and in the Northeast. And happening now in Hillcrest, San Diegans are stepping up to help those impacted by Ida. New Orleans native Andrew Boya owns NOLA on 5th and through Sunday, donating half of all sales on New Orleans-related menu items to the doing a hurricane relief. With the big LSU versus UCLA football game that's set to start 30.